You check your phone first thing in the morning, right? Well, that tiny habit is one of the reasons your belly won't budge. In this video, I'll explain why and show you 5 other habits that destroy belly fat. But we're not going to talk about calorie deficits or your step count because you already know that's important. And no, you're not going to have to cut out carbs either. This is about small daily tweaks that stack up to make a massive difference. So full screen the video and let's lock in. Let's go back to the very first line of the video. The first habit that we want to talk about is all to do with your phone. These smartphones are incredibly powerful, but they're also pretty dangerous. You see, the average person's screen time is over 2 hours per day. Now, that might not sound that much to you, but when you add it up over the course of a year, it's 700 hours. And what makes it worse is that number's only getting worse. And let's be honest, for the vast majority of us, me included, that screen time isn't being spent productively. Whether it's social media, the news, or even games, we are all guilty of wasting a lot of time on our phone. And I'll be real with you. The number one excuse I hear is that they don't have time. They're too busy. But that's why the very first thing I get my clients to do when they come at me with that excuse is pull out their phone and look at their average screen time for the last 7 days, because it helps them to reframe the problem. It's not that they don't have time, it's just that their priorities aren't aligned with their goals. And normally, for the vast majority of them, when they see that number, when they realize how much time they were wasting just doom scrolling on social media, it completely inverts their value system. Suddenly they realize that there's no place to hide, because most people, and I'm sure you're the same, don't need any more motivation. You just need a little bit more focus. And unfortunately, our phones these days are engineered by these apps to distract us. So that's one of the reasons that your phone is stopping you from losing that belly fat. But there's actually a second reason, and that's the impact that it can have on your sleep. You see, these phones, in fact, not just the phones, but the laptop I'm using right here, the TV that's behind the camera, they all emit a lot of blue light. Now, blue light in the day, actually particularly in the morning, is great for a circadian rhythm, but at night, it's a different story. You see, blue light, a little bit like caffeine, blocks what we call adenosine receptors. And adenosine is a neurotransmitter that builds up throughout the day and makes us feel sleepy. But by blocking it, whether it is the caffeine or the screen time, you're essentially delaying that feeling of sleepiness. This delay, in turn, then shifts your internal clock. So not only is it making it harder for you to get to sleep, which means the quantity of your sleep is going to be reduced, but it's also going to negatively affect the quality of your sleep. And if I'm really honest with you, I think that's a bigger problem in society these days, because every man and his dog will tell you to get between 7 to 9 hours of sleep at night. And that's great. But let's be honest. Who in this world that we live in, with our busy schedules, with the jobs, with the competing priorities, with the social occasions, and of course, with the children, if you have them, is getting 8 or more hours? I'm lucky while I'm trying to run a business and cope with everything else that's going on if I get 7 hours. But what I am more focused on, and what I try to get my clients to focus on, is their sleep quality, their sleep hygiene. The other thing is that when it comes to sleep, it would be very easy, but also complete cope and useless, to be honest with you, if I was to just sit here and say, you should probably get some more sleep, because you already know that, and I'm sure you'd love to. So what I like to do instead is challenge people's sleep hygiene. And one of the best habits without a shadow of a doubt that you can implement today that's going to drastically improve your sleep hygiene is to put your phone on airplane mode 30 minutes before you go to sleep and keep it on airplane mode until 30 minutes after you wake up. Let me explain what I mean. If your phone is on airplane mode, it is essentially just a really expensive alarm clock. You can't access the internet, you can't text anybody, you can't phone anybody. So really, there's no reason to be on it, right? You are essentially blocking your access to the magnificent World Wide Web. And as a result, you're making your phone null and void, because it's all well and good saying, oh, I'm just going to put my phone down. But what if you're sitting there and a little bing goes off? You get that notification. It takes the discipline of a very strong man to reject that notification. The chances are you're going to pick up your phone, and then before you know it, you're doom scrolling for 3 hours. So the very best thing that you can do is remove the decision fatigue from your consciousness. And you can do this by putting your phone on airplane mode. I'm not expecting you to put your phone down 2 hours before you go to bed. In an ideal world, you want to give yourself like 45 minutes to an hour. But start with 30 minutes and see how you get on. Now that leads nicely into the second habit that I wanted to talk to you about, and that's having a morning routine. And for me, the very first part of my morning routine is to keep my phone on airplane mode for the first 30 minutes of the day. Because let's picture the scene. And I know this is one you know very well. Your phone alarm goes off, you turn it off, you look at your phone, screen's full of notifications. Before you know it, 30 minutes or maybe even an hour has passed and you haven't done anything. You're still lying in bed. But with your phone on airplane mode, no notifications. That means you can get up and get straight into your morning routine. Now, crucially, when it comes to your morning routine, you want something quick and you want something simple. Mine is done and dusted within 15 minutes. But in my experience, it's been very powerful. In fact, I'd go as far to say that it's been completely transformational. I'll take a 45-second cold shower. I'll do 50 push-ups. I'll drink half a liter of water with electrolytes, and I'll make sure that I'm getting protein and fiber at my breakfast. Why? Because both of these make sure that they keep your blood sugar levels stable throughout the day. They fill you up because they're harder than the carbs and the fat to digest and process and break down in your stomach. And they mean that you're getting the day off to the best possible start. After all, the word protein is derived from the Greek word protos, which means first. And then if I'm lucky, I'll try and get some sunlight in to reset my circadian rhythm. Like I say, that morning routine takes me 10, maybe 15 minutes max. But crucially, the positive effects last all day. Now, you don't have to copy my morning routine, but I'd strongly encourage you to come up with your own. It gives you structure, it sets the tone, and most important of all, it sets the standard. If you do hard things early in the day, it just makes everything else feel so much easier. Moving on to habit number 3, and this one is so powerful when it comes to melting and destroying that belly fat. Because you see, a lot of health conscious people who are trying to lose weight and melt that belly fat, they aren't actually messing up because of their food. They're messing up with their drinks, whether it's from the obvious ones like alcohol or the sodas, or the ones that you might think are healthy, like the smoothies, or even the ones you might not even realize have hundreds of calories in them. One of my favorite stories from a client of mine, which I've told before, but I'll tell you again because it's so powerful, comes from my client, Adam. When he joined my program, he actually already had a personal trainer. He was getting his steps in. He was going to the gym 4 times a week and he was eating healthy. But the one mistake he was making is that he had no idea of how much he was eating. He wasn't tracking his calories. So I said to him, look, let's just do a 3-day food audit. I don't want you to change anything about your diet whatsoever. I just want to try and figure out what's not working for you. And the funniest part is, it didn't even take 3 days. Within 24 hours, I got a very excited message from Adam saying, Doug, I figured it out. It turns out that his daily Starbucks was costing him 600 calories a day without even realizing it. He was having 2 coffees that each had 300 calories in them right there in that moment. He didn't need me to say anything. His value system completely shifted and he decided on his own accord that those coffees, as tasty as they were and as much as he looked forward to, they weren't as valuable to him as him shifting the weight. Fast forward a year and a half and he's 25 kg down. But more importantly, he's built a lifestyle that's sustainable for him, for his work, for his routine, and for his family. If you were to find him in 5 years' time, he is not going to have regained all of that weight, which is what happens to most people when they go on a diet. And this is literally the essence of exactly what I do on my coaching program with my clients. It's not about, here's your macros, here's your workout program. Of course, I do that for them, but that honestly is like 10 to 20% of the program. For me, the biggest parts are the education of how to build that sustainable lifestyle. And then, of course, the accountability that helps you to stay consistent for long enough to actually get the results. So as I said earlier, if you want to check out that program and how it works and how it could work for you, just click the link under this video. But yeah, habit number 3 is to not drink your calories. And then habit number 4 is to make sure that you're getting up every hour of the day. People overthink 10,000 steps. It sounds like a lot. I get it. And if you're the average man, you're only doing about 4,000. But the reality is 10,000 steps a day is only 90 minutes of movement. Now, if we combine the 90 minutes of movement with the fact that you are now going to consciously be more aware of how much time you're spending on your phone, you can see how these habits start to work together for you. And this is why I always say to people, when people join my program, a lot of the time they want to add new stuff in, whether it's new workouts, new food, whatever it might be. But I say to them, we need to remove stuff to make space for the new good stuff. But the problem is that no one wants to remove the bad, because ultimately the bad is what is keeping you comfortable. But if you're able and willing to make that sacrifice, because let's be honest, life is all about trade-offs. If you're willing to cut down on that screen time, suddenly you have a lot more time that you can now invest in your own goals. Because I know your goal isn't to doom scroll, to be the best doom scroll in the world, is it? So 10,000 steps a day isn't hard. It's just that you're not in the habit of doing it. But the habit here isn't 10,000 steps. It's just getting up every hour of the day. You don't need to go from 0 to 100 overnight. No one's expecting that, so don't put that expectation on yourself. Like I say, the average number of steps that a man in the US and the UK is doing right now is about 4,500, which terrifyingly means that 50% of people are doing less than that. But all you want to do is add 1,000 steps a day each week until you've built yourself up to 10,000 a day. And getting yourself up and moving around for 5 to 10 minutes each hour of the day, assuming you work 8 to 10 hours, is literally going to get you to 10,000 steps. A little bit like diet. People think they have to be perfect. They have to get everything right every single day. But if you spread it out and, more importantly, break the problem down, you realize that it isn't as overwhelming as you might think it is. It's just like when you're trying to increase the weight that you're lifting in the gym. You don't go from a 50 kilo bench to a 100 kilo bench overnight, do you? You build it up slowly over time. And if you follow a structured workout program and progressively overload each week, within 8 weeks, maybe 10 or 12 weeks, you're going to be doubling your bench press. Well, it's exactly the same with your step count. And funnily enough, if you didn't know already, what you do outside of the gym in terms of your lifestyle counts for a lot more. And I'm not just talking about 2 or 3 times more. I'm talking about 30 times more than what you do in the gym, particularly if your priority right now is to burn that belly fat. It's not sexy. You don't even feel like you're doing the work. There's no sweat. There's no huffing and puffing. But trust me, the guys who lose the weight, but more importantly than that, keep it off, are the ones who are living a more active lifestyle. They're not trying to take the path of least resistance. They're not looking for the next best shortcut. So yeah, habit number 4, getting up every hour of the day. And then habit number 5 is making sure that you've got water in your eyeline at all times. Most men don't realize just how chronically dehydrated they are. Because by the way, if you feel thirsty, it's already too late. You're dehydrated. And it only takes you to be 1 to 2% dehydrated for your brain to start shutting down some processes, not just in your brain, but in your body. And this is what leads to lethargy. When you feel lethargic, you don't want to get up. You don't want to do hard things. You want to lay on the sofa for 8 hours and do a Netflix binge in your pants, don't you? So drinking more water is one of the lowest barriers, easiest things you can do to give yourself more energy and use that energy to burn more calories. And the best way to do that is to make sure that water is in your eyeline. Because you ought to think about it this way. A habit has 3 parts. A cue, the thing that essentially instigates the habit, which is having the water in your eyeline, the action itself, and then the reward system. So what do you get out of doing this? Now, you're not a dog, so I'm not suggesting that you give yourself a treat every time you take a sip of water, but the reward in your head is knowing that you are giving yourself the best possible chance of burning that belly fat. So super simple one, takes no time, costs no money, have a bottle of water in your eyeline all the time. And if you're out and about, make sure you're carrying one with you. And just to be really clear here, the words in your eyeline are the most important thing. You don't want it next to you, because if it's out of your eyeline, it's not in your brain. You need to get this out of your subconscious and into your conscious, especially when it's not a fully formed habit yet. Once you get to the point where you're normally drinking 3 or even 4 liters of water a day, great, you can relax this one a little bit. But I'll be honest with you, once you start doing that, you never will, because you'll be in the habit of doing it. And then last but not least, another very quick and easy one is to brush your teeth every time you eat. This does a few things for your brain. First and foremost, it signals that the meal is over. Brushing your teeth acts like a psychological stop sign. In other words, it's telling your brain that the kitchen's closed. Not only that, there's also science behind the fact that it can kill your cravings and even your taste triggers. That minty freshness wipes out any lingering flavors. You know, the type that make you want to urge that sugary, high-fat food. It also makes late night eating unappealing, because let's be honest, once you've gone through the rigmarole of brushing your teeth once, you really don't want to have to do it again, do you? And by breaking this snacking cycle, by removing the temptation to do the late night eating, you're easily going to cut anything from 200 to 500 and, to be honest with you, maybe even 1,000 calories a day. Because when I sit down and speak to people, most of the time, if they are overeating, it tends to be late at night. Why? Well, quite frankly, because they're tired and their guard's down. So this habit, again, takes 30 seconds or maybe 60 seconds. Sorry, dentists. It's free and it has the power to save you hundreds, if not thousands of calories every single week. So there you have it, ladies and gents. A quick, short video for you today, but hopefully one that can be very impactful. I purposely kept this short because it's one that I want you to take away and take action from. Every single one of you who is watching this video right now can easily implement every single one of these habits today. And if you do that and they start to compound over the course of days, weeks, or even months, not only are you going to completely destroy that belly fat, but be honest with yourself, you're going to massively improve your mental health too. So I really hope you've enjoyed the video, and I'll speak to you soon.